Welcome. I am presenting before you about rocket and what lies behind a rocket. Actually, and it is more interesting to know about it. And here I am trying to express before you the knowledge I gained about rockets and about their achievements. Let us start the journey. A journey to explore world. A journey of curiosity. A journey that makes you proud. Let us come back to the topic, history of rockets. One of the first devices to successfully employ the principles of rocket flight was a wooden bird. Escaping steam propelled the bird suspended on wires. The creature used the action-reaction principle, that is, Newton's third law of motion. 300 years after, hero of Alexandria invented a rocket-like device called heliopile. Then gunpowder became available to propel the projectiles. When I say about the history of rockets, you should note that there was many struggles made by the different scientists and different organizations all over the world. The first rocket was used in 1732 during the Chinese-Mongols War. They used fire arrows and iron poles which explode with a sound that could be heard for 25 kilometers, causing devastation. And then another object named ground rat used internal combustion rocket propulsion. Many experiments conducted in 13th, 14th and 15th century. In rocketry becomes a science. During 17th century, Sir Isaac Newton proposed the three laws of motion and universal law of gravitation, which helped for the further development of rockets. In 1898, Konstantin Tsiolkovsky proposed the idea of space exploration. In the 20th century, American scientist Robert H. Goddard conducted practical experiments in rocket science. He aimed at making rockets fly to higher altitude. Goddard's earliest experiments were with solid propellant rockets. Later he understood that liquid fuel will provide better results than solid fuel. He achieved the first successful flight with a liquid propellant rocket on March 16, 1926. Fueled by liquid oxygen and gasoline, the rocket flew for only 2.5 seconds, climbed 12.5 meters, and landed 56 meters away in a cabbage patch. He then made more developments to his rocket and also introduced a parachute system for safe landing. Another great space pioneer, Hermann Oberth, published a book in 1923 about rocket travel into outer space, because of which many small rocket societies sprang up around the world. In Germany, the formation of one such society led to the development of V-2 rocket. Later, both the United States and the Soviet Union began a variety of experimental programs. Missiles such as Redstone, Atlas, and Titan would eventually launch astronauts into the space. On October 4, 1957, Soviet Union launched the first artificial satellite called Sputnik 1. After a month, they sent Laika, a dog, the first animal that went to the space. Let us see how a rocket works. First of all, we have a look on Newton's third law of motion. Newton's third law of motion states that to every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. Another law connected with the working of a rocket is law of conservation of momentum, and it states that if there is no external force on a system, then the total momentum of the system is conserved. Working of a rocket. The action of the rocket engine's combustion chambers and expansion nozzles on a high pressure fluid is able to accelerate the fluid to extremely high speed, and conversely this exerts a large reactive force on the rocket according to Newton's third law, and which propels the rocket forwards. Rocket thrust is caused by pressures acting on the combustion chamber and nozzle. In a closed chamber, the pressures are equal in each direction and no acceleration occurs. If an opening is provided in the bottom of the chamber, then the pressure is no longer acting on the missing section. This opening permits the exhaust to escape. The remaining pressures give a resultant thrust on the side opposite to the opening, and these pressures are what push the rocket along. Propellant gas is added continuously to the chambers, and these pressures can be maintained for long as propellant remains. From the principle of conservation of momentum, the speed of the exhaust of a rocket determines how much momentum increase is created for a given amount of propellant. This is called the rocket's specific impulse. As the rocket, propellant and exhaust in flight are without any external perturbations, the total momentum is always constant. Therefore, the faster the net speed of the exhaust in one direction, the greater the speed of the rocket. As the remaining propellant decreases, the rocket vehicles become lighter and their acceleration tends to increase until the propellant is exhausted. Let us see what are the forces on a rocket in flight. First one is the thrust from the engines. Second, the gravity from celestial bodies. Third, drag if it is moving in atmosphere. And fourth, the lift. And the last one is the inertia and the centrifugal pseudo force. And it can be significant due to the path of the rocket around the center of a celestial body. Impulse. The total impulse of a rocket burning its propellant is simply I is equal to integral F dot dt. And specific impulse. Impulse per weight unit of propellant expelled is called specific impulse. It is defined such that it is related to the effective exhaust velocity by VE is equal to ISP into G0, where ISP has units of seconds and G0 is the acceleration at the surface of Earth. Delta V or rocket equation. The delta V capacity of a rocket is the theoretical total change in velocity that a rocket can achieve without any external interference, without air drag or gravity or other forces. Tsiolkovsky rocket equation. When V is constant, the delta V that a rocket vehicle can provide can be calculated from the Tsiolkovsky rocket equation. Delta V is equal to VE into log m0 by m1, where m0 is the initial total mass including propellant in kilogram and m1 is the final total mass in kilogram and VE is the effective exhaust velocity in meter per second and delta V is the delta V in meter per second. When launched from the Earth, practical delta V's for a single rocket carrying payloads can be a few kilometers per second. Some theoretical designs have rockets with delta V's over 9 km per second. The ratio m0 by m1 is sometimes called the mass ratio. Mass ratio is, for any burn, the ratio between the rocket's initial mass and the mass after. Everything else being equal, a high mass ratio is desirable for good performance since it indicates that the rocket is lightweight and hence performs better. Achievable mass ratios are highly dependent on many factors such as propellant type, the design of engine the vehicle uses, the structural safety margins, and construction techniques. The highest mass ratios are generally achieved with liquid rockets and these types are usually used for orbital launch vehicles. Liquid propellants generally have densities similar to water and these types are able to use lightweight, low pressure tanks and typically run high performance turbopumps to force the propellant into the combustion chamber. Staging. Staging involves dropping off unnecessary parts of the rocket to reduce mass. Often, the required velocity, that is the delta V for a mission is unattainable by any single rocket because the propellant, tankage, structure, guidance, valves and engines and so on take a particular minimum percentage of takeoff mass that is too great for the propellant it carries to achieve the delta V. This problem is frequently solved by staging, that is multi-stage rocket. Acceleration of a rocket. From Newton's second law, we have acceleration of a vehicle A is equal to F by m, where F is the total force acting on that vehicle and m is the instantaneous mass of the vehicle. Typically, the acceleration of a rocket increases with time as the weight of the rocket decreases as propellant is burned. Peak accelerations can be increased by designing the vehicle with a reduced mass, usually achieved by a reduction in the fuel load and tankage and associated structures, but obviously this reduces range, delta V and burn time. Let us have a look on multi-stage rocket. Nowadays, most of the rockets are multi-stage rockets which have high efficiency. A multi-stage rocket is a rocket that uses two or more stages, each of which contains its two engines and propellant. A tandem or serial stage is mounted on top of another stage. A parallel stage is attached alongside another stage. The result is effectively two or more rockets stacked on top of or attached next to each other. In serial or tandem staging schemes, the first stage is at the bottom and is usually the largest, and second stage and the subsequent upper stages are above it, usually decreasing in size. In parallel staging schemes, solids or liquid rocket boosters are used to assist with the liftoff. These are sometimes referred to as stage 0. What is happening in a multi-stage rocket? The first stage and booster engines fire to propel the entire rocket upwards. When the boosters run out of fuel, they get detached. This leaves a smaller rocket with the second stage on the bottom, which then fires. Known in rocketry circles as a staging. This process is repeated until the final stage's motor burns to completion. By jettisoning stages, when they run out of propellant, the mass of the remaining rocket is decreased. This staging allows the thrust of the remaining stages to more easily accelerate the rocket to its final speed and height. What are the advantages of multi-stage rocket? First one, once the fuel is exhausted, the space and the structure which contained it and the motors themselves are useless and only add weight to the vehicle, which slows down its future acceleration. And the second one is the thrust of future stages is able to provide more acceleration than a single large rocket would be capable of. And the third one is each stage can use a different type of rocket motor, each tuned for its particular operating conditions. Optimizing the structure of each stage decreases the weight of the total vehicle. But they have disadvantages too. On the downside, staging requires the vehicle to lift motors which are not being used until later, as well as making the entire rocket more complex and harder to build. Each staging event is a significant point of failure during a launch, with the possibility of separation failure, ignition failure, and the stage collision. Nevertheless, the savings are so great that every rocket ever used to deliver a payload into orbit had staging of some sort. These are the ideas that I have gained through reading books and through internet. I think I have presented it before you very nicely. If you found any mistake, please comment below. And thank you for cooperating with me. Thank you.